In Appcircle, you can completely determine what steps our build machines will take while running your build, and we call these workflows. So for React Native projects, you can go to either your Android or iOS version of your build profile and then tap workflows. So it will give me two default workflows as Appcircle creates two workflows for each build profile, one for push and one for pull requests. So you can add new workflows from here and edit or modify the existing ones. But let's just pick push workflow for now. So these are basically steps, just like a recipe that our build machines will take from beginning to the end while they're doing your builds. So it will start from the activate SSH private key and run all the way down to export build artifacts. So this is a very straightforward default workflow for React Native apps, but you can change, modify, and delete these steps. So let's just go to any of its detail. For instance, let's just look at install node for React Native. So this specifies that the node version that will be installed while you're running your builds will be the latest node version, but you can specify a specific node version if you'd like. You can give it a manual name yourself, whatever you'd like. And you can also temporarily enable and disable this step. So while this workflow is running, maybe you don't want this step to run temporarily. You can close this. And you can also enable whether this step will run even if the previous steps fail. And if this one fails, whether it's going to continue with the next step. And these are all configurable in Appcircle. And these workflow steps are all open source. So you can just, tap help and go to its repo. Every single of our components are open source. You can leave the source. You can suggest some changes. You can modify them. You can create new workflow steps and create a pull request to our main step repo and add new ones with that method as well. So let's just go back and see how we can actually edit this workflow, remove some steps, add new ones, modify the existing ones. And we do this by tapping this edit workflow button. And on the left, I do see my workflow. And on the right are the available steps that I can drag and drop into my workflow. So for instance, I really don't want this custom script, so I'm deleting this. So what this does by step is that it first activates an SSH private key. If you have private repos in your repository, you have to provide an SSH private key to access those private repos. So this is a very, very important step if you have private dependencies. The second one is cloning your Git repo to our build machine. The third one is installing certificates for iOS apps. Your Apple certificates and your Apple provisioning profiles are being loaded in this step. Then we install that node version that you have specified. And then we run some npm yarn commands for actually building your React Native project for Xcode. This creates an Xcode project for us. Then we select an Xcode version. We can select a variety of Xcode versions in Appcircle, and then run a CocoaPods install and then do a build for your devices. And the last step is actually when an IPA file for iOS is created, it actually exports those and distributes them if you've enabled distribution. So these steps on the right, for instance, you may use Fastlane for everything, so you don't need any of these and you're just running Fastlane lanes. That's fine. You can just delete these and drag and drop a Fastlane step here. It's completely fine. And you can just do a build for testing only if you're using Cartridge, which React Native projects generally don't, but still we do have Cartridge in here. You can deintegrate CocoaPods completely to do a clean install of CocoaPods. Node version that we've mentioned, export build artifacts is the one that we've mentioned. Slater is actually converting your test results into human readable HTML and CSS. CocoaPods install is something that we've mentioned. You can build for the iOS simulator as well, whether to see it's running. You can do an Xcode build and run your unit and UI tests. You can upload some files that we've exported to Amazon S3. 2 is a new tool that lets you generate Xcode projects without committing them to your code. We have device farm deploy and run. And you can increment your build number of your iOS project by 1 automatically. And you can also run a custom script, which I will drag and drop just to show you some of the custom script magic. I will hit save and I will save my workflow. When I tap custom script, I go to its detail, and in here I can actually switch between Ruby and Bash and just write some Ruby code or a Bash script. And then when I hit save, the script will run when my build is running. So this is pretty much it on workflows, and I'll see you on the next video.